What's your plan for the housing recession that's going to happen within 1 to 5 years? I don't know why you're so confident there's a housing recession coming. I know that housing, it's a very scarce asset that provides a good yield. It's pretty obvious it's a massive control point for people. So that's part of why the prices continue to go up. If you own the house that people have to live in, they have to essentially play by your rules. Do I think houses in the big cities can fall 20%? Yes. But do I ever think that they're going to fall 50 or 80%? No. Because imagine what the yield would be on the rents. Rents don't necessarily fall, and for the most part, don't actually fall. House prices can drop, but rents usually stay pretty much the same, which means that as the house prices drop, the yield gets more impressive. So of course, there is a price point where the funds or large investors or guys like me are yeah, well, of course, I'm happy to lock in 6.5% or 7%. Why the fuck would I not buy it? People don't understand that there's an artificial floor on housing, and they also don't understand that rates, they're not going to go up to 10%. The rate hikes are almost done. It's just going to be another decade of dollar destruction. They've created cash to buy all the assets, and people just work for it. My Monopoly reference is obviously the ultimate fucking reference for capitalism. Playing Monopoly, and instead of one person owns everything, they've just shook hands so that they'll just let the pleb keep running around the board and getting in further and further debt to keep him on the board. So it's pretty simple to me. They've leveraged citizens' future to keep printing more money. If you're out in the middle of bumfuck, or you're in a dying area or something like that, then yes, I think that you could face further downside. But if you're buying smart, then I don't think you're going to see some super recession. House prices in general, as a rule, they go slow, stay stagnant for a few years, and then they kind of boom up. And they're stagnant for a few years more, and then boom, the way that it goes. After the virus, that's much of what happened. There's always something. Someone will turn around and be like, oh, was this why they went up because of this, and they went up because of this? They're just trending up. It's pretty obvious. Land's so scarce. One of the scarcest assets, if not in the whole fucking world. There's only so much land, especially in the major cities. Pretty obviously a good investment. People get bamboozled by or something. It just continually stuns me. It's so obvious that it's a good investment. Bitcoin as well. You'll see some nitwit go into some fucking 6-hour rant for how it's doomed to fail or how it's a bad investment. And it's just so obviously a good investment. It's mathematically fixed. It's moving into a tech world. We're moving into an AI world. It could eventually be some sort of product in that sort of thing. It just baffles my mind how people are just so far behind. People don't understand they're brick and mortar guy. That's all a dying field. Everything is digital. Everything's going to be digital in the future. People will consume digital products. That'll be a massive thing. People are going to own less, not more. They're going to have less space. They're going to own less, and they're going to be happy. It's pretty obvious. They lay out the very foundation that they're going to use, and people are still but what about the housing recession? The biggest thing is that they just price them out, of course, because they have all the money, the funds and that, pension funds and things like that. They can just purchase a bunch of houses and just lock them up off the market. They don't need to sell. They can just leverage the house and get another house. That's the best thing with housing. You don't have to sell. It's not an asset like gold where you have to sell gold to buy something else. They can leverage it to make money on it. There's multiple ways, especially if it's not single income, if it's a multi-purpose facility or commercial or things like that. There's a lot of things you can do with real estate. And there's a lot of tax advantages in Australia. There's lots of negative gearing and things like that, strategies you can use. Australian property market's one of the worst in the world. I know a lot of guys where they're plumber or an electrician again, might be on 100, 120K a year, and to even buy a house, extremely difficult for them. Buy a house within 30 minutes of a major city. So the housing market there is wild, especially now the rates are high. You need more money down, and it's hard for the average pleb to save. It's very hard to save a house deposit to put 20% down or something like that. It's a lot harder. They're kind of got a ceiling for the income, and especially if they themselves have to rent, you have to rent, so a good piece of your wage is gone, and then they have to try to qualify for a loan. If they're saving and the house prices keep going up every year or two, it's very hard to save. Let's say you're saving 100K deposit for a 500K house, and then you're saving 25K a year, but then the house price is going up 5% a year. That's your 25K. That's done. You need more now. So of course I understand everything at a deep level, but the average person only really understands shit at a very surface level. So that's the game.